Hey there, sports fans. Mike Crook with Free Sports Press coming at you with another episode of Laces Out. And, we've got some fun topics to talk about today. First off, the Chiefs finally go down. Thank you to the Buffalo Bills for doing what everyone in the NFL wanted to see happen. It's finally come to fruition. Also, Denver, nice little win over Atlanta last week, just in time for upcoming games against the Raiders and the Browns before our bye week. Whew. All right, what can Florida State do against Charleston Southern, the worst of the worst? This is going to be the battle literally of the worst of the worst. And lastly, CU is in prime position for a spot in the Big 12 championship game. That and more. Stay tuned. Okay, let's get things started off in the world of the NFL, where the Buffalo Bills are able to do something that no team has been able to do this season. That's take down the Kansas City Chiefs. Denver got really close the weekend before, but it came down to a blocked field goal that sealed Kansas City's win, 16-14. But Buffalo, you did it. And, it was close. I mean, not going to lie, the Chiefs were knocking at the door again. But thanks to a great fourth quarter drive by Josh Allen, including his own rushing touchdown, and then an interception to seal it, the Kansas City Chiefs finally go down. So thankfully, 72 Dolphins, your record, still unblemished as the only undefeated team in the NFL, including a Super Bowl win. And now jumping over to the Mile High City, where Denver's coming off of a 38-6 win over the Atlanta Falcons last week before traveling to Oakland, where they take on their arch rivals from the AFC West. Now, Denver already won the first meeting of this between these two teams earlier this season, but look for Oakland to try and get that season split and kind of put a little derailment in the Broncos' playoff hopes this year. Right now, Denver is trailing the Chargers in the AFC West playoff hunt, currently sitting at third place. So literally every divisional game is a must-win at this point for Denver if they want to have any shot at overtaking for a number 2 spot in a wild card berth and keeping pace on that one. As it stands right now, I believe Denver would actually be a 7th seed, if I remember right, taking on the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round for the NFL playoffs, if the playoffs started today. Now, I don't think that Denver's going to actually own this game the same way that they owned Atlanta, surprisingly, considering their record. But Oakland actually, with it being a divisional game and a rivalry game the way it is, I think that Oakland's actually going to want to get up to this one more. And I think that the Broncos are actually going to only come away with this one with maybe an 18 or so point win in this one. Look for it to be close going into the fourth quarter, and a drive or two where Denver's able to pull away and a couple of key defensive stops, possibly an interception or a fumble, is really going to seal the win for Denver. Now jumping into the world of college football, where we actually have the battle of the worst this weekend. The worst of the FBS in Florida State is taking on the worst of the FCS in Charleston Southern. And I think Charleston Southern is like 1-10, I believe, and I think this is actually their last game of the season, and Florida State comes into this contest 1-9. Literally, it doesn't get any worse for Florida State. You lose this one, and the worst possible season just got even worse. Like, how do you lose to an FCS team that is at the bottom of the barrel? This is literally one step above a high school team. Like, let's be real here. So, Florida State, I know that there's rumored to be some commits that are going to be coming to the Florida game next weekend, but let's try and stay focused on this game. Let's at least go and limp into that Florida game with a 2-9 record. I don't know what it's going to take. I'm sure DJ is out for the season. I don't even know if he's really hurt anymore, if he's just like let the injury bug ride for right now. And let's see what Luke and Brock can do. And in all honesty, I thought that Luke might have been the guy. I thought Brock might have been the guy at some point during the season. But as it stands right now, they're both young, so they have a lot of growing pains left to do. And I don't know if our OC and our quarterbacks coach is really doing them any kind of service in getting them prepped for these games, because I don't know what they're seeing in practice, but what translates to game day is not that great. These guys are missing reads. They're overthrown balls. Granted, some of that's on receivers too, where they do have some throws that are just dots and they're just not coming down with it. But also the O-line, there's not getting really the kind of protection that these young kids need to be able to flourish and progress in their reads, find the right guy, and get him the ball. Granted, both Brock and Luke, I think maybe even a little bit more than Brock, are mobile quarterbacks, more so than DJ, absolutely. But still, these are young kids. They tend to get rattled a little bit. But hopefully these guys can find some kind of maturing game and some really confidence-building game this weekend where they're taking on a lesser opponent. Hopefully the O-line can step them up, give them some protection, and give them the time that they need to make the right reads down the field, find the guys that are open, and don't just sit there and dump it off to the sidelines or overthrow a guy by like 30 yards. I honestly think that, if this was a traditional Florida State team, this game would be over by the end of the second quarter easily. You'd have backups upon backups upon backups in this game for at least half the game. This one, I think, actually could be closer than what the experts think. I think Vegas actually has this one by like a 5-touchdown game. Like, are you kidding me? Have you seen this Florida State team this year? They are literally the only team in the country, FBS and FCS, that have not scored 22 points in a single game. The only team. Like, come on. How are they now a 5-touchdown favorite? They haven't scored 5 touchdowns in one game, let alone 4. Like, come on. I don't know. Can they get a 5-touchdown game out of this? Maybe. We'll see. I would love it if they could hit 28 points this game. Just being totally honest. But I don't think I'm going to subscribe and fall prey to the experts on this one at Vegas. I'm going to pick, well, actually stay tuned. I will give you my pick during my weekly Big 12 ACC picks. So, rant over. Florida State, please do good. Do well this weekend. Light it up as much as you can. Give whoever is under center enough time to make the right reads. Receivers, hold on to the ball. If it comes your way, grab it. Hold on to it like your life depended on it. Plain and simple. Running backs, just bust through those holes. Tuafili, I know that you got this, my guy. You got this. So, Florida State, please do good. Okay, let's change gears now. We're going to travel up to Boulder, Colorado. Well, actually, take that back. We're actually going to travel to Arrowhead Stadium, which is where I believe the CU-Kansas game is actually taking place this weekend. So this is going to be a huge one for CU, obviously, just because they've got 2 more games left, both of them in conference, both of them against, based on the records, lesser-tier opponents. But don't let the records deceive you, because Kansas is out to be giant killers. They already took out the undefeated BYU Cougars last weekend. Now they've got their sights set on the Buffs, who are looking to fortify a spot in the Big 12 championship game. Because right now, as it stands, I'll even throw a graphic up here on the screen. The Big 12, as it breaks down right now, has both BYU and CU atop the conference at 6-1, followed by Arizona State, Iowa State at the number 2 spot with 2 losses, and then followed by K-State, Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, and West Virginia, all with 3 losses. Now, a loss by Colorado obviously opens up the doors for Arizona State and Iowa State. And even an outside shot for teams like K-State and Baylor on the very big outside spot if some other teams lose, which would obviously help them out. But you've got 3-4 Kansas in the conference, 4-6 overall, hosting the Buffs. And then after that, CU is going to host Oklahoma State for the season finale, they're 3-7 overall, and they're currently winless in the conference. So on paper, Oklahoma State should definitely be a gimme game. Kansas, definitely have to look out for that one. They're coming for your head. So I guarantee you, Shador, Hunter, Shepard, Weston, all those guys, they're going to be on point. Every assignment is key. Every snap is key. You've got to make every drive count, and touchdowns are what's going to win this one. Mata, we believe in you, and you are the god of field goals. So if it comes down to a kicking game, we got this. I guarantee you, Mata is clutch in key situations. He will not falter if it comes down to a field goal. But let's not make that happen. I guarantee you they're going to want to come out fast and hard, and they're going to want to drive that score up as much as possible. Because if they can get a 2 to 3 touchdown lead on the Kansas Jayhawks, I don't think Kansas has the depth to go 4 full quarters against a team like CU. Yes, BYU is undefeated, but I don't think the Cougars roster can match up with CU's head-to-head. And we're going to find out probably in a couple weeks in Arlington. All right, it is time for weekly pick'ems. We're going to start first with the ACC this weekend. So first up, we've got North Carolina traveling to Boston College. UNC's on a 3-game tear right now. I don't see that one going away anytime soon, so give me UNC on this one by at least 7 points. Next up, we've got UConn traveling to Syracuse. There is no way that UConn holds up in this one. Give me Syracuse in this one. Closer, though. Give me Syracuse by 6. Then we've got SMU traveling to Virginia. And, oh my gosh, SMU, top of the conference, 9-1 overall, undefeated. They're going to run the table on this one. Virginia does not stand a chance. I know that Virginia, they're what, 500 in the conference? They're 500 overall. But, yeah, Virginia, no contest. SMU runs away with this one by, let's say, 14 plus. Then we got Wake Forest at Miami. I'm sorry, Wake Forest, no contest in this one. Miami, I know that they've been on a little bit of a struggle with that loss. They just weren't looking that crisp last week. Look for them to rebound with this game. And unfortunately, Wake Forest gets to be the fodder on this one. So Miami, in a big way, 21 plus on this one. Next, we have Charleston Southern at Florida State. I know the experts in Vegas have this one pegged as a 5-touchdown contest, or at least it was earlier this week. I don't see it going to that extent, but I do see Florida State actually eclipsing 22 points this season. They're going to get 4 touchdowns in this one. I know, big deal, 28 points by the Noles. But look for them to win this one by about 17 or so. Next, we have Stanford at Cal, and I'm sorry, these West Coast teams, yeah. You guys have just not had the greatest season, obviously. You're still better than Florida State right now, but literally you're just barely above Florida State at this point. And I'm going to give me Stanford on this one, honestly. Give me Stanford by like 3 or 4. It's going to be a close, nasty game. Then you got the Citadel at Clemson. Sorry, Citadel. No way that you walk away with this one with a win. I know Clemson's not had the greatest season in the world by any means, but they've only got 1 conference loss, 2 overall. Yeah, give another win on this one. Clemson, huge, at least 28 points or more on this one. And then next up, we have Pitt at Louisville. Louisville definitely having a better season than Pitt. Pitt started out hot. They started out really good. But right now, Pitt is on a 3-game losing streak after starting out the season 7-0, 3-0 in the conference. I don't see this one actually turning the tides on this one. I actually see Louisville squeaking by in this one. It's going to be really close. 4 points or less. Give me the Cards. Lastly, Virginia Tech at Duke. These are 2 middle-of-the-conference teams. Duke right now is on they've won their last game. Virginia Tech's on a 2-game slump. I don't see that slump stopping this weekend. Give me Duke in this one, 5 points or less. Another close game, but Duke does somehow squeak away with a win here. All right, lastly, we're going to do Big 12 games. We've got 1, 2, 3, 6. We've got 8 games in the Big 12 slate this weekend. All right, so first up, we've got Arizona going to TCU. Give me Arizona in this one. Don't know why. I'm just feeling like the Wildcats got this one. UCF at West Virginia. Give me the Golden Knights in this one, 7 points or less. Texas Tech at Oklahoma State. Absolutely give me the Raiders in this one, 14 points or more. BYU at Arizona State. I'm sorry, Sun Devils, but BYU is looking to rebound in a big way over last week's disappointing loss to Kansas. Look for the Cougs to win big and win convincingly, 20 points or more. Colorado at Kansas in Arrowhead Stadium. So a Colorado team gets to travel to Arrowhead. Good times. And, yeah, give me the Buffs in this one. I think that Kansas might be a little cocky coming off BYU, the win over BYU last week. But give me Colorado in this one by 17 points. I think they're going to come out strong, come out hard, and they're going to roll up that score real quick. And I don't want to say cruise to a win, but kind of maybe trade off some scoring possessions after that. Then we have Baylor at Houston. Give me Baylor in this one. They're on a 4-game tear right now. I don't see that one stopping against Houston. So, yeah, give me Baylor in this one by 10 points or more. Then we have Iowa State at Utah. Iowa State is trying to keep their outside hopes alive at squeaking into the Big 12 championship game. So they're definitely going to need to get a win against Utah. So definitely look for Iowa State to come out of this one with at least a 7-point win. Lastly, we've got Cincinnati at K-State. Both of these teams are kind of limping into this contest. K-State's lost a couple. Cincinnati, I think, has lost like 3 straight. So, yeah, look for this one to be kind of a slow-going contest, but I think K-State has more weapons, and look for them to actually come out of this one with at least a 10-point win in the end. There you have it, folks. Another episode of Laces Out is officially in the books. If you like the content, please sure to like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. It helps out all the algorithms for all the social media gods. And make sure to comment below if there's anything you'd like to see added or talked about or discussed, or anything that we've talked about in this episode or previous episodes, to be honest. And enjoy this weekend's slate of games, and we'll see you back again next week for another episode of Laces Out.